you expect that emerging market consumers' demand will drive luxury markets growth in 2014?
I think it's a long-term trend, so to speak, I would say yes, emerging markets will drive the luxury sector down the road because of the emerging middle class and the rich getting richer. For 2014, it could be interesting to see because 50% of the market share of revenues going into that sector are still the old world. So it's Europe, US, for example. So if we do see a surprise in Europe on the upside in terms of growth, that could be kind of a trigger for the whole sector.
The anti-corruption campaign introduced in China at the end of 2012 has hit the sector. Could the new upper middle class compensate this gap of demand?
We do think so. If we look at the numbers and the growth of this new middle class, obviously they won't buy into the most upscale luxury goods, but they could compensate. For example, if you take watches, they won't buy outright a Patek Philippe, for example, but they could buy into brands like Longines or Tissot, for example, which then generates revenues that could compensate for the case you mentioned. So bottom line is, yes, we do think so, yeah.
Advantages and disadvantages of investments in the luxury sector.
So I think the biggest advantage is the secular growth story. So the thing you mentioned at the beginning, emerging markets, growing, new consumers buying into that sector. So there's a lot of growth in the whole sector in the mid to long run. In terms of adding this strategy to a portfolio, usually what happens is if you have an upside market, EA equities growing, a bull market, this strategy tends to outperform the market. And the third one is, I think it's interesting to look at the companies. If you have pure luxury companies, they usually don't have a lot of leverage, a lot of borrowings on their balance sheet. They are financially sound, cash rich, with high margins. So that's what I like about the theme. So I would say you enter the emerging markets indirectly, the emerging market consumer, the potential that offers is coming from that end with an indirect approach. Western companies with sound balance sheets tapping that potential, which in my opinion is interesting for an investor.
Which is your view on Italian companies operating in this sector?
I mean, the sector is all about, it's like real estate, right? Where you say location, location, location. With luxury goods, it's brands, brands, brands. And there are a few really good Italian companies catering to that sector, good brands like Prada, Ferragamo or Tod's, for example, that do quite well. So, well, put it another way, Italy has its stake in the luxury sector and there's a good reason for it.